Welcome to Oh Brother, a podcast where we trying to figure it all out with your hosts, Brandon and Collin. On this week's show, Barricading the Door. Ahoy!
Ahoy!
How's it going?
Oh, pretty good.
Okay. Okay, I wasn't sure with the inflection. I wasn't sure which direction we were going to go.
Well, so I haven't been doing literally anything.
Oh,
so I mean that's good, right?
Okay, fair.
Our talk last week caught up to us because it's freezing right now.
I know. Yeah.
So there's that.
It got real bad. Yeah.
Not as bad as last year, apparently, but
no,
quite chilly.
Oh my gosh.
Still feels like 20. So still
It's been
not minus, but still not great. So
exactly, still not great, and that's what's important, folks.
Yeah. It snow like a teensy bit this morning. It was just like teasing snow, like a little bit of like, and then like it was gone. But it was like
it's been weird. We've had so many. It was snowing off and on, throughout the last 2 days. Where at least in Springfield and here at home, where we're like, I don't know, it was very, very. I was like, what is going on? Like, why is it continuing to like? It was like it's so cold and wet and just Anyway, I'll stop.
True. It's not bad weather if you're not sitting any pets or walking any dogs out in it. It's great. So like I don't.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Oh man. Yeah, because all of a sudden, like, okay, so real talk. I was very busy at the beginning part of this week. Very busy.
Shocking. I wonder where everyone was.
Yeah.
I wonder if there was some sort of international holiday that people do things on.
Well, and
yes,
and we had some staffing things, and
oh no,
so, yes,
not more staffing,
which is fine. It was it was one of the things of like, how many of them are going to ask to like must be out there doing the work of like like okay, like you guys like fine, be home with your families and like stay, because like they do work hard the rest of the year, so like I get it, so it's fine. Like, it was fine, but also it was very cold, and I was down there, and it's like I did not pack appropriately for the weather that I am in right now.
Oh no, did you? How? I want to know how many. Okay, I got to figure out how to phrase this question first of all. That would be a very useful thing, right? That's how long into the first dog walk did you consider going to buy coveralls? That's what I want to know. Like, did you just be like, nah, forget this. I'm going full blown Midwest mode. Get me some coveralls right now. Like, how long did that take for that thought to enter your mind?
Well, so I had started. This was Monday. I was doing started visits at 6 a.m. that day, and the thought of coveralls did not enter my head until my walk at 8:45, and this was because I was at a complex, and the other were mostly vacation visits, so we were just coming in and out of people's homes. But this was a true dog walk. Okay, so I was at
prolonged out of
prolonged extended period of time, and I look up ahead, and a gentleman leaves the apartment complex in coveralls, and I went, "Oh, that's what I need. That's actually what I need. That would be amazing right now." So I instead had I had a base layer, and then I had a cotton layer, and then I had my hoodie, and then I had my fleece jacket, and then I had my my rain jacket over that, which I was using a quasi windbreaker, but also it was also raining and sleeting and snowing all week. So it was kind of that combination was fine, but also it's real tricky because like you're out walking And then you go into somebody's house and they've got it set to like 78. And then like I've got to like peeling off
Now,
layers.
That's true. So like here's the problem though, right? Like these are listeners, these are real Midwest problems, right? If you ever wondered to yourself, I wonder what Midwest people think about. Here you go. You ready? This is officially. Like layering up on the top is no problem, really.
Yeah.
Right? Because you could put on like 3 coats, and then if you go into somebody's house, you just take all your coats off, right? The problem is you can't. The bottom layer is the problem, right? Because like generally, like my legs don't get as cold as like my core, right? But like you're out there for long enough, all of a sudden you're like kind of like knee area to like lower thigh starts to just freeze.
Sure.
Right. For some reason. That's the part that gets like really cold. And like you can't layer the pants the same way. Right. This is why the coveralls are interesting plan, right? Because then you could do that is like removable, right? But like you can't do like too many layers on the leg, right? You can't take them off. It becomes real awkward, right? You can't go to someone's house and start like unbuttoning your trousers, right? That's not really kosher, right? You don't do that. So
right.
So you have this problem of like the layering. It's like disproportional, right? It like you can, layering is no problem on the top half of your body. On the bottom half of your body, it becomes very tricky, right? You have to wear like a lot of socks, but then like, so your feet are warm, but then like your thighs just get really cold.
Yeah, and I just
it's real weird.
I just kind of honestly gave like I didn't even bother with that. I just wasn't even going to worry about that part because like I was more concerned about my chest and my neck getting cold because those are always like it doesn't matter how many layers I have on. If I'm going to get cold, it's always at the base of my neck, and it's just.
If only there was some sort of garment that was invented that was designed specifically to keep your neck warm.
Right. The problem with one of the traditional garments that you are speaking is that they dangle.
And they don't say pet sitter? Is that why you're like, okay,
exactly.
It doesn't say pet sitter. I mean,
right?
You should get them knitted, like the English football scarves, right? Where you hold them up and it says like the name of the team or whatever. You should just get those, but it just says pet sitter. Just like,
no, I because I'm like bending over all of the time, like bending down to like they fall down. So just getting like a neck gaiter would actually probably would be best.
That's a better plan.
And I could pull it up over my face as well.
Oh yeah, true.
But
the ears, right? That's the other.
Yes. Ugh. Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's a problem, right? Like it's like it's not that bad if you're gonna like. So if you're going to the store. Right, it's not a big deal. Like whatever, I don't care. I'm just gonna wear my jeans and like a shirt and a jacket because you're going to be exposed. You're going to be exposed to the weather for like less than 5 minutes.
Exactly.
So that doesn't matter. It's I have to be outside for 20 plus minutes. Now this becomes an important planning exercise. Like. It's like after 20 minutes, right? Like if I look at this official NOAA chart here, frostbite becomes a thing. So I need
right.
So I have to start thinking about okay, body temperature, hypothermia become a real problem.
Yep. And then I'm trying to layer on top of that, like figuratively of like and literally of how bulky can I be? I still have to like be bending and twisting and like and then I get really hot and then of course you go sit down in your car and it's like initially cold but also it's going to heat up really quick because that's what they do. And so like actually in between visits I was driving around with my car's air conditioning going because I was getting so hot.
Yeah.
Right? Like and then I was just like, oh my gosh, like this just
yeah, my friends and I were having this conversation about like the driving with the coat on thing, right? Because like this apparently is a divisive topic, right? That I was unaware of, right?
Yeah.
Because like some people will not drive with a coat on. And I'm like, why? I mean, like, it does get high. Again, if you're going to be in the car for like an hour, obviously you take your coat off. But if it's like, again, if you're running to the store, who cares? And they were talking about they just can't do it. And I realized at one point in my life, I had a car, the heater didn't work. So, like, not very well. And it took forever to like warm up. So, like, the driving with the coat on thing, I guess, doesn't bother me because I was like a mandatory thing, right? Like, it's kind of a necessity. You need to drive with your coat on because it's not real pleasant otherwise, right? You go into work at 4 o'clock in the morning in a car where the heater's not working real well. It's not real great plan, like it's
no. And for me, it's just more convenient to just like you get in the car, you sit, and then you just drive with the coat on. No need to take it on and off. Now, I will say, obviously, if you have children that are in car seats, yes, you must take them out of the car seats so they can be comfortable and like blah blah blah. Yes, I get it. But like for me,
talking about you personally.
Yeah, like, for me personally, I'm going to sit in and I'm going to have. I'm not going to disrobe in the car. Like that's not the like. That's annoying. So
it's weird.
Yeah, I'm just gonna, go ahead and keep this moving. So anyway, that was not to complain, but it was like, of course, like this is now when the cold weather hits, like during our really busy season. But I will say, man, as much as people complain and don't like it in our line of work, like working on a holiday is magical. I love it because
I mean, like, yeah, for road traffic purposes, I bet it's fantastic.
Road traffic purposes, people, road traffic. I just, what lights? There are no lights. There's nobody here. I have the road all to myself all day long. Like this is, oh my gosh, it was beautiful. And so I was reminded of like, yes, this is wonderful. This is glorious. I don't have people around. There's nobody out. Everything's nice, calm. Getting to do all that was great. I double plus that. That was double plus good. Highly recommend, except I don't. So don't anybody do that.
Yeah, like even when we went to Susan's mom's house just on Christmas like afternoon, like nobody else was driving. Which is weird because we had to take the highway to go because they live in a different town. So like nobody here. Like granted, these aren't like the busiest roads in the world, right? We're not talking like, Kansas City Loop or anything, but like nobody is on the road. It was kind of weird, right? Like, especially when we came home, like no cars still. Like that's weird. Driving through town, no cars still. Like what in the world? It was awkward. Like this is weird.
Yeah. No, it feels like something is wrong. It really does. Whenever you're out and there's nobody out and you're like, what on earth is this? But it's I really like it. But yeah, it was weird because Monday there was like nobody out, which was fine. And then like it didn't start getting busy again until Wednesday morning. Like Tuesday it was also dead. Yeah.
I mean, we didn't go anywhere on Tuesday. But, that's not, we didn't go anywhere today either. So there's that.
Oh, and then, and I was honestly a little worried about how the weather was going to impact us because of just the temperatures, how they were so right on the edge of like, it's either going to be just fine or it's about to get real, like because of the freezing on like, the overpasses and stuff. And I was like, oh, not happy.
Yeah, I think it was, I don't know. We went out and walked today, bundled up, right? And I went out for a walk. And it wasn't too bad this afternoon.
No.
Early afternoon. It was all right. But it was like wet. But like, I don't think it'd been cold for long enough to be too precarious, right?
Right. yeah, that's the important. It's I had to remind myself. I was like, it was 60 yesterday. It was 60 yesterday. It was.
Yeah, you'll be fine.
We're going to be fine.
Problems.
We're not going to get a flat. It's like it's not going to flash freeze. Like it didn't drop that precipitously, but it's pretty close.
It's true. I've done it before, but yeah. We had a pretty low key week because everybody in Susan's family got sick. So
oh no,
we were gonna go to like do big Christmas at their house, and they called like the night before. They're like, "No, don't. No, we're not. We give up. We're not doing." Like, okay, fair, good. Like everybody on her side of the family was sick last, like either the week before or like the day of. They were all sick. So we stayed home. We didn't go anywhere.
Yeah.
So like it was real low key because they were all ill. So we didn't go see them.
They're not the only ones. Like I see so many people who are sick right now, like for various things. And it's all different for everybody. I mean, I just had a staff member who had to call out for the next couple of days because of they're sick, and it seems odd how it's hitting a wide swath of people right now.
Oh yeah, well, also because it's like 5 different sicknesses, right? It's not like the flu or the big C or like whatever. It's like or strep, or it's like all of them, like at the same time.
Yes, it is, and it's oh my gosh, so
it's crazy.
Yeah. So yeah, this well, I'm sorry to hear that they're not. Hopefully, they're all on the mend. Maybe.
I believe that to be true.
Okay.
I know her mom is doing better. Well, because we went and saw them, but it was her sister and stuff. So I think they're doing better. They were going to they're doing better. I don't think they're like over it, but they're improving. I think. Okay. So we're on the upswing.
Woot.
Woo.
Woot.
Yeah.
Pretty much. No, this week really it's oof, yeah, I kicked my butt. I was by yesterday when I was texting you, I was like, we need to move this more to tomorrow. I was like it's like I can't actually do this physically much longer.
You're fine. That was good.
Yeah. So yeah, it's been that's really been the bulk of my week, was just focusing on all of those things. And man, it's been, we had the weird what okay the weird thing that I wanted to share with you. I when people travel, okay, they do all sorts of weird stuff to their homes. Like it's just bizarre, and there are things that people do or don't do to their homes that like I would never do or not do. Example, you walk in and the again, this is not a judgment on anybody. This is just a fact.
Except for it is.
Okay. You come in and the kitchen sink is crammed full of all dirty dishes. Okay. Now, like piles of stuff in there. Okay. And they go away, and they're going away for like a month, right? Or even 2 weeks, like, or even a week. Like, and I'm like, what? Oh, like this hurts me because when we go for like a day, I'm like, the whole house must be clean. I'm not coming home to a dirty house. That's not how I want to live my life.
Okay, Dad. What
the heck? Exactly. These are the neuroticisms that I have gathered over the course of my life. So it's fine. So again, it's fine. People live their lives, but like I have to use your sink because I need to like wash pet dishes and like refill water bowls and things. So I'm having to like push things out of the way to get to use a sink. And I'm like, oh, this is gross. Like, I don't like this right now. Plus, I'm having to dump dirty, like, slobber water. And I'm like, well, it's just going in your dishes, buddy.
It's going to pool in there.
It's going to sit
stinky. Right? Like, it's going to smell bad.
Right. And so, like, I'm trying to, like, not dump it so the slobber water does not fall into their coffee cups that are at the bottom of this and stuff. And it's a mess. But the other thing that people do when they leave is that they and they don't tell us this, but they'll tell neighbors and friends to be like, oh yeah, come over to my house and borrow my vacuum, or like use my car, or whatever.
Oh.
And so I arrived at a client's home, and I just,
a dude in there eating Cheerios, like, sup,
no,
man?
no, there's just a random car in the driveway, and it's like 7 a.m. in the morning, and I'm like, well, this wasn't here last night when I was here at 10 p.m. This was not there, so well, I'm just gonna walk in. So I walk in and I'm making my noise, and nobody responds, and well, I have to clean up a poop mess, and I take that out into the garage garbage can, and I noticed that the owner's car that was in the garage is not there. And so I take pictures and I send them to the client, and they're like, oh yeah, we said they could, use our car while we're gone. And I'm like, what? Yeah. That would have been really nice to know a day ago, so that I wouldn't come in and I'm like,
I wasn't trying to like report a burglary, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Do I need to report? Yeah, where the suspect left their car in the driveway and just swapped him out? Like, this is so weird. Like, I don't.
That's video game logic, right? You drop one car somewhere, you just take a new one, right?
Can't carry two. Your pack is not big enough, right? Like, so you
don't want to be over encumbered like that. It's not good. Slow walking everywhere.
Yes. Yes. So it's those things where you're like, they obviously knew that. They were okay with it. They weren't concerned about it. And I'm like, yeah, it would have been nice to update us about that, but okay.
I mean, yeah, especially this time of year when you've watched Home Alone like 5 times, right? And so you're just like on the lookout for like suspicious things, right? You're like, is that? Did somebody turn the sink on? Were the wet bandits here? Right? Like, what's
yes, yeah. Or the client who leaves for a week and doesn't tell us that, oh, by the way, the door off of their this is just the kind of client this is. The door to their back patio off of their recital room doesn't latch anymore.
The what?
Yeah. So they have a room in their house.
Is
that is their recital room. This is where they have their piano, and this is where they practice all their instruments for their violins, their everything that they play. And it's like this little kind of like quasi soundproof room. It's pretty. It sits right off of the living room. And to get to the back patio, you kind of have to walk through this room. And then the door that goes from this to the outside just doesn't latch anymore. Just doesn't. Right? And they weren't going to tell us that until we couldn't get the door latched, because we had to take the dog out there. And then they're like, oh yeah, that doesn't latch anymore. And I'm like,
what do you mean it doesn't latch anymore?
You're going away for 5 days. It's windy outside. Like, wind is going to blow this door open. Like, what are you talking about?
Fine.
It's fine. And they're just like,
just don't worry about it. Okay.
So what I did was I like,
oh boy.
I made this door latch. Like, I had to lift hard up on the handle, shove it in. Like, the deadbolt, it will
latched it closed.
I did. And then I set 2 chairs in front of it, because I was like, I still don't trust this door. So nobody's going in or out of that door. We're going to find another way. So now we got to go like through the basement or whatever to get outside. But
it's like barricaded the door. That's great. Like,
yes. Yeah. Well, because I was like, if I don't barricade it, and I just tell a team to like, oh, don't use that door, somebody's going to forget, because that's the door we always use. And then we're not going to be able to get it latched. So I have to make it awkward enough for them to go for hopefully some part of their lizard brain to go like, why is this so why do I have to move a chair and then a piano bench out of the way to get to this door? Like, that's not normal. Huh, maybe I should stop.
Like how you turn this person's house into like, what's that movie? That Assault on Precinct 13, right?
Oh, right.
Barricade all those doors shut and like
pretty much what it is just like,
cram it all in there.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. Is what we're trying to do. To keep things out or in, who knows? Yeah, that's a deep cut.
Okay. Yeah, right. That's a weird. That's a. Look at.
Yeah.
I recently rewatched the original version of that from like the 70s or whatever.
Yeah.
Like that movie doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Like at all. Like many, when like the bad guys are just like doing bad guy things just to do bad guy things.
Yes,
like that's
as
just
they
that
want
movie.
to do.
There's like there's not like motivation. Like why are they assaulting it? Like because like
right.
that's really the reason. The whole movie is like, because they're bad. You're like, wait, I don't know. Hold on. Wait, you're right. Like the new, like the more recent version. Is that the one that has like Bruce Willis in it? Is that the movie? I think so.
Okay,
yeah. Like Bruce Willis, and like Mos Def, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is that the same movie? No, that is a different movie. What is that? That's like 13 blocks or something.
Okay.
Anyway. Yeah, because the other one has Lawrence Fishburne in it. Yes, yes, yes. Oh, yeah. And John Leguizamo, weirdly, because lots of movies around 2000 just had John Leguizamo in it.
Well, yeah.
For reasons. Yeah, but at least there's like motivation against that movie, right? And like 13 blocks or whatever is like the same idea. There's like their bad guys are like trying to get a person, they're doing a thing, whatever. But the original one is just like, nope, we're just bad. Only. Right. I feel like a lot of 70s movies like that. I feel like 70s movies, when everyone's always like, oh, you don't need to remake these movies because they're so great.
Yeah.
No. Not if they were made in the 70s. It's like, no, you can remake those movies. Well, or like Gone in 60 Seconds, right? The weird, like, again, 2000 like crazy Nick Cage movie where he's stealing all the cars and stuff.
Yeah.
There's an original movie of that from the 70s and it's like ridiculous.
No, it's straight doesn't make sense.
Any sense.
No, that it's one like is
real bad.
Definitely worthy of a remake.
So it's definitely, I think we need more 70s movie remakes, right?
Oh,
right. Like,
okay.
Like these movies had potential, but because they were made in the 70s, just sort of came out kind of like, right? I feel like that is the well you need to mind. Don't remake, everyone's always like, oh, we're going to remake Blade Runner. Like, no, that's fine. You don't do that. Don't remake movies that were already good. You need to remake movies that were like, that didn't quite live up to what they should have been, right?
Yeah.
Like,
I am going to
I can see what you're going for here, but you just didn't make it. Right?
Yeah. I'm going to do a couple things here. I'm going to come out and I'm going to say I have a few block lists of movies that are ineligible for being remade, okay? Just real quick.
All right,
okay.
That's fine. That's fine.
These are movies that cannot be remade from the 70s. These include Gene Wilder's Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. Okay, that one.
We've already made like
twice.
We've already remade like 7 Willy Wonka movies. Right?
I know.
Let's go for it.
No. Stop it. Just stop it. And then I'm just gonna say most of like the Disney movies that we all really like, you and I really like Aristocats, The Rescuers, Robin Hood, all of those. Like, don't touch those either.
Okay, that's fair. Maybe what I'm thinking of is 70s action movies. Like,
okay,
right. Yeah. So we'll put an addendum in there. If you want to make like 70s action movies, right? Like if you want to remake Convoy for some reason, I don't think anybody's gonna be too mad at you, right? Like
3 Days of the Condor, you could probably remake that one.
Yeah, right. Like there's a, there's probably a few in there. Maybe you don't want to do like, maybe Smoking the Bandit's okay. Although, like, you couldn't really why would you remake that movie today? It like doesn't make sense.
There's no connection to literally anything.
like it doesn't make sense in a 2020 almost 2024 context, right? Like doesn't really work out, right?
No.
Like maybe, like the French Connection. That's a pretty classic movie,
Well, yeah. And I was
right?
also going to say, didn't didn't Dirty Harry come out in the 70s too? Is that early
Yeah, but
70s?
like, yeah, Dirty Harry's very 70s. You can remake those movies because, I mean, like the first Dirty Harry's good, right?
Yeah.
After that, right, like Magnum Force, not real great, right? Like, I don't
Uh,
think, I don't think anybody's gonna be like, oh no, you remade Dirty Harry 5.
yeah.
Right?
Uh,
Like,
uh,
I want to see this movie. I've never seen this before, but we'd have to change it a little bit, right?
what?
This is called The Losers, right? I'm just
Uh,
gonna read you. All I have seen is the poster and the one sentence tag. Are you ready?
okay.
The CIA sends motorcycle outlaws on armored choppers to Cambodia to rescue an agent. Boom,
Oh, okay.
boom. Right. That
Well,
we have to be able to like remake that one
yeah.
somehow. Maybe they don't have to go to Cambodia, right? But you don't really need to bring up that problem, right?
Mm-mm.
But
No.
like,
Next.
the premise of the CIA sending, like, this is a very common movie trope that is like weird, like the government sends like the bad guys. It's like Suicide Squad, but like not lame.
Yes.
To like go do things, right? Like send the guy in jail to go do the thing. That's
Right,
like a
because he's
movie
already
trope.
serving a life sentence, right? If
Yeah,
he dies on it anyway, it's fine. But if he does good, he's gonna get free.
yeah.
Yeah,
So I think
yeah.
motorcycle outlaws going on a mission to save agent in X country, right? We'll just make it a new country. We can update it, right? Doesn't have to be Southeast Asia. Could
No,
be anywhere. Could be like made up country. Could be like, I don't know, somewhere. That would be funny. Uh,
but I think what you're getting at here is this, like, there are a lot of movies that have have a desire to make a very clear good, bad, like light, dark distinction, and
yeah,
don't want to have to get into the reasons behind that. And some movies are able to pull that off, of like, of going, oh yeah, there needs to be no motivation behind that, because obviously that's what's going to happen here.
mm,
But others, they really stretch it and go like, no, look, the guy, he's kind of in the shadows, so he's a bad guy and he's doing bad guy things for bad guy reasons. And those are the ones where you're like, no, that doesn't quite get to it. But there's this feeling of like, no, I don't want to have to justify it. Just believe me, right? In this story, it's like, just believe what I'm
yeah,
trying to get to tell you.
yeah, and that's why I feel like after a certain point, a lot of those movies they don't age well because like there's no like motivation,
Yeah.
right? Like the characters don't have any motivation to do the thing, right? Like whatever it is, like they're just like I'm doing it because what? Like why? Like I don't necessarily want like the whole backstory on every character, and I don't need to know like they were pushed down the stairs one time in fourth grade. I don't need to know that, right? But like they need to have like a reason. Like in some of these movies, like just a reason would be fine, right? Like I don't, like a reason would be good.
Yeah.
That would be fine, like that's all.
That's
I
all.
don't know.
Just need one, please.
Just
One.
one. Just one.
Yeah. Well, and that again, this trying to have a story that doesn't get too much into exposition, or because we've talked like that tendency to over explain, of like, well, here's everything you need to know about this person and why they are here. Like, that is definitely a reaction out away from this. No, it's not clear. We can't just assume good and bad. We have to explain how that person became that way so that we can know or predict what they're going to do next and blah 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 blah. And some things I think that works. A lot of psych thrillers, like it's really good to know a lot of that backstory because then all of a sudden you know, like, oh my gosh, this person's really messed up. Like, wow, it's crazy.
Yeah,
But
I mean, it works in like a speaking of 70s movie content here, scrolling, it works in like Taxi Driver,
yeah,
right? But that's all about like that's like a slow burny movie,
exactly,
right? It's like it's more psychological, you know, uh, you know, random Dirty Harry sequel, any movie starring Charles Bronson, right? Like they don't really
just
they don't
assume.
really go for that, right? Like
Yeah,
they're just like, oh yeah,
he's here. Okay,
also here.
got it. Yes,
It's a fine line, right? That's what makes movies good or movies bad, right? In my opinion, it's like goes a long way. Of when you're trying to do that, you're like, oh, why do I care about this person? Like, because you don't really get, if you're like, oh no, it's just a bad guy, you're like, oh, there's no like tension. There's no like, you're not like worried about anybody because you don't care about them because you're not invested in any way at all. Like,
well, they become background stormtroopers at that point, and like of like, oh no, like look at all of those hundreds of people being mowed down.
yeah.
Anyway, like because
Yeah,
there's just
you're like,
no reason for you to care. Why would you?
Yeah.
And that's it. It's interesting how quickly when if a director or writer is like, no, I don't. They just need to believe us, and how quickly it is for me to just write that off in my brain and go, oh, well, anyway, I don't. Why do I care?
Yeah, like I'm just not interested. Right, I don't care at all. We're scrolling through this list of movies and going, oh yeah, some of these are real weird.
Okay, so you've got losers on the list as far as eligible for a remake. What's another? You've been scrolling through a list. What's another 1970s you'd like to see remade?
Well, some of these I haven't even seen the first time, so like I'm pretty sure a lot of these can probably go for it, right? Like some of them are just not possible because some of them are like, some of them are called like Enter the Dragon. Probably just can't remake that one.
No,
like,
no. Anyway, that goes on the list.
And again, I think contextually, like we're talking about too, like sometimes a lot of these movies are about like 1970s things, and you would have to adapt them in some way because the same like setup device doesn't really function properly. Like this big slew of like I forget all the time just how many like semi truck movies came out in the 70s, right? Like what? Why are all these? What is breaker? Right? What is the white line or whatever? Like what is this? Like
yeah.
Why were these? Why are there multiple? Why are there 3 Smoking the Bandits? Like,
I didn't. Are 3 Smoking the Bandits? I didn't. What?
Pretty sure there's 3.
Oh no!
The first one's the only one that's any good.
Well, sure.
Mostly because it has Fred the Basset Hound in it. Obviously, that's why you watch that one. Yes. But like, some of these movies about like, again, like The Losers, right? Because you have this like just sort of vague Vietnam inspired backstory. Not probably quite enough to just drive a movie plot.
No.
Right? Like it's like
not gonna capture the audience, I think is what you're trying to say.
Yeah. Yeah. So you have to update them some. But like, like Death Wish, right? Like it's a weird movie, right? Mm-hmm. Like, oh, there's just street punks out roving, doing nefarious things on the street. Like, what?
Like, yep. Get ready.
What?
Yeah, fair. That's a weird one.
Yes. And so they did remake Mad Max. There we go.
well, maybe, yeah. Hmm.
To get on this list. Maybe that's what we'll do. Maybe we'll have to come up with a definitive list of movies that should be remade.
Okay.
Right. There we go. It doesn't necessarily have to be from the 70s. It could be from any time you want, but we should do that. Maybe not next week, but whenever you want to, we should do that way. Movies that should be remade because they were like, you could see where they're going.
Right. Yeah.
But they never quite got there.
No, they did not. Unfortunately.
Unfortunately, too, not to turn this down too bad of a path, right? Like movies like that are like Vietnam-y in nature, right? Like that was like that was what was happening in the 70s. So like you just put it in there because like everyone has the context already, right? But now, unfortunately, we know about all the other stuff that was going on, right? So like a movie that is like sending undercover bikers to Cambodia, kind of not as funny when you actually know what happened in Cambodia during the Vietnam War, right? Like once you realize that, you go, oh, this zany action movie, not quite so zany, right? Like, oh no,
yeah, never mind,
never mind.
Back out of that one, folks.
Realize that like more bombs were dropped on Cambodia than Germany.
Ooh.
You go, wait, what?
Yeah.
Oh no. Spoilers, listeners, it wasn't called the Cambodian War either. So there's that. Good job there.
So there'll be some updating needs when we go to.
Yeah. But I would like to see the CIA send bikers somewhere to do something. I don't know what. Maybe they just send them like Montana or to do something. Or Mars.
Mars.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
There we go.
So I think we have the backstory now. These are actually a CIA. So they were CIA operatives. Okay. This is now we're coming together.
There we go. There we go. I like this.
Yet another one of those moments. I know last week we talked about like how many things were just straight up fever dreams in our childhood, and I'm just constantly looking back at these going, and I think that gets it where I have a tendency to be like, oh my gosh, all these new TV shows, they're so weird. Oh my gosh, how does people watch any of this? And then I'm reminded of the things that we were on our our television, and I'm like, okay, fair. It's things are weird. This is
yeah, right. Like
not normal.
You forget about some of the ones, that were out there that were just like real wacky, right? Because you're like, oh yeah, you remember the Batman and you remember, things like that. But then you're like, oh yeah, Ren and Stimpy existed. Ooh. So there's that, right? Like,
yeah, that certainly is a thing that happened.
Yeah, you do have this tendency to remember like the cool ones, and then again when you Google that, you get just all these like lists of like, oh, the best cartoons. Like, no, that's not what I'm talking about.
Right. Don't just show me the worst. No, show me the best. I
want you to think about the other ones for a minute. Like,
yeah, we're gonna have to sit with this and remind ourselves that we as a society saw this and said, yes, that's what needs to be on right now. Actually, right now.
Again, the fact that there was a Beetlejuice cartoon, right?
Oh.
You do Beetlejuice cartoon. Okay.
Yeah. Was that actually necessary? We needed that one?
It wasn't. It was not.
Nope.
Like,
turns out, folks, not. It was not, people. Nobody needed that. Nobody needed that.
No, did not. So, yes, I agree. But because you block those things from your mind, right? Because either you didn't watch them to begin with, because they were like, even at the time, you're like, no, that's wacky. Like, I don't want to watch that.
Yeah.
Like, that's too weird for me. So you don't even do it. And then you go, oh, later you're trying to think about things and talk about things. You go, oh, yeah, the Barnyard Commandos existed for like 5 episodes. Just think about that for a minute. Think about that. There was a show called The Barnyard Commandos.
I think with shows
in 1990. Okay.
With shows like that, I have to remind myself that like there were boardroom meetings, right? Like grown adults sat down in a room together. That was, we have to like, just setting the scene here, right? Executives, people that were in C-suites heard this pitch, listened to it, and nodded along and went, yes, indeed, that is going to take us to the next level. You're absolutely right.
Yeah, I don't know who was like planning on like riding the coattails of Bobby's World. Okay, again,
oh my god,
why did Bobby's World? Why was that a thing? I don't know. For every Darkwing Duck, there is a Bobby's World,
and that's just
right?
Yeah.
There is a James Bond Jr. Okay,
yeah. Again, ideas. People were paid a lot of money to come up with these ideas and pitch.
I know I'm in the minority here, probably, but also Ren and Stimpy was not cool. Like I, even as a kid, I was like, "What the heck is this? I don't like this." Like,
no,
I willingly watched Cowboys of Moo Mesa, but not Ren and Stimpy. No,
I don't know. I don't know, but what it was about Ren and Stimpy that was so, I mean, besides everything being off-putting, but even, yeah, as a kid, and I don't know exactly what age group they were expecting was supposed to watch that or like why, but like I remember being like very off-put by it, like very, not, I mean, maybe revolted, maybe too strong of a word, but like I definitely was like, no, that is unsettling to me at like every level of my being. So no, thank you.
Yeah, it's just like, it's so crude.
Yes.
Right. And so like not funny. I don't know. Maybe again, this is just my sense of humor. Is very niche, I guess. But like it's just like real like crude, slapsticky, dumb stuff. You're like, I don't want to watch this. Like it's not a pleasant it's not a pleasant experience.
No. No,
like it's I think that's probably it. Like that, and there was like other shows that were like that because you could tell people were like either some of the same people worked on it, or like they were inspired by Ren and Stimpy because this is a very seminal show for a lot of people. Like people love this show, and I just don't know why. Like I don't, because when you talk about like kids today watch such trash, you go, have you seen an episode of Ren and Stimpy recently? Like, just go back and watch one episode and be like, oh yeah, this is art. No, you can't. You can't lie to yourself like that, right? You can't. You can't be like, oh yes, the high art that is multiple fart jokes for 20 minutes. Oh,
yeah, I'm reading.
Wonderful.
This is
what?
I just the animation style too is very the proportions, how
it's also crude, right? Like it's just weird.
It like, is. It doesn't. It's very. It's unsettling. It's not comforting to even look at. I mean, the here's the storyline as IMDb puts it. An intense, hyperactive Chihuahua. Is there any other kind? And a happy-go-lucky, empty-brained cat. That's a revelation. I guess I never realized that. Okay, but anyway, they share bizarre and often.
Is he a cat? I guess.
Yes, apparently he's a cat. a happy-go-lucky, empty-brained cat share bizarre and often repulsive adventures. Their experiences usually involve hairballs, filthy litter boxes, magic nose goblins, jars of spit, outhouses, eating dirt, monkey vermin, and any other imaginable disgusting substance. And that was TY through TVY7 was the certificate it got. In case people were wondering.
Yeah, none of that sounds appealing to me, right? Like, I don't know. I don't get it. I guess even when I was like 5, I was like, no.
But I remember like being immediately turned off by this. Like,
oh yeah, no, it was just not. Yeah, I agree. Like at no point was I like, yeah, I want to watch this. I think one of my friends watched it. I was like, yeah, no, I don't.
I distinctly remember going up to Iowa to see our friends up there, and
oh yes,
and he had once one of those was watching on or something like that, and I just remember being like, "What is happening? Like this is." Don't feel like I should be watching this right now. Like I feel wrong watching this. Like
yeah.
I feel like I'm going to get in trouble for this.
Yeah, I'm just not into it, right? Like, yeah, I agree. I don't know. Yeah, I don't really want to go watch it again and like deep dive into why it was distressing to me. But I think it also kind of falls back onto the same conversation we had earlier, right? Is like, why? Like, why are you doing this?
Yeah. To what end?
What is the motivation for this? Like, if it's just like that kind of writing is just, I don't find it interesting or engaging because there's no point, right? Like, it's not telling a story. Like, nothing's happening, right? Like, nobody's overcoming anything. There's no motivation for anything. It's just like, yo, look at this bodily fluid. Ha ha ha. Isn't that funny? Like, no, it's not.
No,
it's not. Right? Like, there's no reason behind any of it. Right? Like, there's just no nothing. Right? It could even. It doesn't have to be a good motivation. All right. Remember, there was a Sonic the Hedgehog cartoon show. Not just tons of motivation in Sonic, but there's something, right? Save animals, evil scientists, eat chili dogs, right? These are like, that's it. That's all I need. Okay. You don't have to give me like world bending motivation, right? But like, give me a plot line, right? Give me something. Right? Like, give me a reason to watch this. Give me like something, right? Just not just like, haha, flatulence joke. Like, ooh, hilarious.
Yeah, I think
like, I don't.
I think if you and maybe this is one of those things of like, if your go-to is always a fart joke, I think you may be on the losing end of things, right? Of humor and comedy.
Yeah, I feel that way. A lot of people would disagree with you, I think, but
yes,
I am not one of those. Right? Like, I just, like, this is why Batman the animated series is one of the greatest cartoons of all time, right? We have all kinds of motivation, we have all kinds of storytelling, right? Also, don't sleep on Reboot, right? Reboot has a lot of this as well.
Oh man,
weird animation choices, right? Looking back, watching it now is a little bit like, they're jarring. But we had motivation. We wanted to save the sister or like defend the town or do things like this from this stuff. So, it's fine. It's fine.
Well, and those, I think that what that kind of shows here is the shows kind of they do embrace complexity in their characters, at least to some like very small extent. It's not as though you go, no, this person has this breadth from X to Y, and they can't advance. They're not going to change. They're always predictable. It's always the same stuff. Like, again, like, no, I'm not going to explain why or anything, but this just is what it is. So things like Reboot or Batman of like, no, these are actually complex characters. Things are actually, sometimes difficult and tough decisions and stuff. And I think it's okay, and it should be okay to, no, kids can take that. It's okay to do that. That's why, when we read through The Hobbit, I was also reading it through The Hobbit with my kids, and like they absolutely loved it. And it's not a super simple, straightforward book. There are a lot of motivating factors and things like that behind them, but if you talk about them, they latch on really fast.
Yeah. So I feel like maybe when I look at a kids TV show and go, why would you watch that? Maybe it's because it's lacking complexity, right? It's like people think kids can't handle it, right? They're like, we gotta dumb it down for the kids. Like, why would you do that, right? That's not helping anybody, right?
Well,
like, they're able to. They got to learn how to understand and like decode and process emotions, right? So like seeing other people experience it is a way to do that, right? And being exposed to it through like well written television is one way to do that, right? Like TV is not all bad, right? Or internet things aren't all bad, right? If they're done well, right? But they're not done well a lot of times. So that's the problem.
Yes.
It's not that they're there, it's that they're done badly, right? That's really
yeah, as it turns out, things done badly are bad.
Yeah. Yeah. Look, there's lots of reasons to make things. Like entertainment is important, right? We need that release and that outlet, right? But like it doesn't have to be bad.
No.
Right? Like it doesn't have to be just like slapped together, right? Like even so, like I'm gonna juxtapose this for you, right?
Okay.
I'm gonna give you two 90s cartoon shows. One that I don't like and one that I think is done really well and smartly, right? They're both high energy, right? There's a lot of stuff. So we're gonna take Ren and Stimpy, right? We have a lot of like high energy, like there are a lot of jokes. Okay. But they're not like good, right? A show that I would say was like high energy and like fun, but like done in a more entertaining way that was like I think adds value to the watching experience would be something like the Animaniacs, right? But that show's like insane.
Yeah,
they're doing all kinds of weird stuff, but it's like funny and like the characters are more fleshed out. Like you can know about them, right? Like Pinky and the Brain are funny, right? Like they, have their own little thing going on there. There's like more, like even though it's high energy and it is, I would say zany. Some would say zany to the max, right? I feel like it's just executed better, and it's a more enjoyable experience, right? Maybe it's not like edgy, haha, but also I think it's just better. I think it's a much better show.
Okay. Yes, it is. Okay.
That's my thought on this.
Oh, sorry. Wait. I thought you were going to compare to another show, or were you comparing to Ren and Stimpy to Animaniacs?
No, I was comparing to Ren and Stimpy, right?
Okay,
like
cool.
Those are the two that I was comparing. It's like they're
Gotcha.
both like real high energy. They're like weird, and there's like a lot of like odd things in them. But I think one of them is executed very well, and the other one is executed not well, in my opinion. Like I never enjoyed watching Ren and Stimpy, but I did enjoy watching the Animaniacs.
No, I agree. Animaniacs does have its manic. Definitely, it
is manic.
It is manic. It is very. It's hard to predict, but it's also written smartly. Like it is like
it's very clever, right? Yeah. Like the jokes are funny. They land. There's like that ties into things, right? There's like recurring characters, but they're not all funny, but like I don't know. I just think it's a more enjoyable. I was just trying to think of another show that's like really high energy and kind of like insane, like a little bit. Like I just think it's better than Ren and Stimpy, in my opinion. I guess it just jives with my humor better though, because it's like quippy and like
yes,
right. It's such much quippier, like comebacky, right? Like fast, like clever responses, and not just like flatulent jokes. I much prefer a good quip, right? I feel like that's what.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and again, it's quip, the fast pace, but also again, I'm going to go back to the drawing style here too. Of it's not grotesque to look at like Ren and Stimpy.
That's true.
Like it's actually enjoyable to watch in that sense. So like I don't have all of my senses being assaulted while I'm watching it.
That's true. He's not offending my eyes, right?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. I'm a very
that could be part of it too. Could be a big part of it, actually, to be real here.
Oh, yeah. So anyway, I think about that in the context. You said like to what end, and that's a great question we should all ask, especially in these contexts, like when we're like consuming media. And I know things try to be edgy, and there are some reasons to do that. I know, like again, that's why a lot of people are actually drawn to Ren and Stimpy, because they think like, oh no, it is edgy, it's countercultural, it's doing all this stuff that's not being done before, and that goes across all media types, and it'll never stop. Like it happens in music all the time. Like when Kiss came out and was doing their thing, it was like, oh my gosh, what in the world is this right now? Like, but like I think you have to remember like what is the point behind the act? Like what is the point? What's the message trying to be driven home here? Because that was something like just real like weirdly here. I'm going to bring it back to one of my all-time favorite TV shows here, is like Top Gear. Of like, once you like, if you watch, you can watch that in so many different layers of like, at the end of the day though, they are car reviewers, right? They are commenting on cars and car culture, and there's a whole bigger thing that they're actually having a conversation about. And so the things, how they frame things, is really important, even though it's really absurd and sometimes stupid. It's like, that the whole framing device is important to know what point they're trying to drive home and why their conclusion is so ridiculous because of where we started. But like, that is actually like back, not so much once they've gone to Amazon. Like but we've much discussed in this podcast, but like when they had the strictures and constraints of BBC, like it was really smartly done, like how they linked things together. But there was a purpose behind why they were exploding things and dropping things off buildings and things like that. Like there was, and we had, as a consumer, asking that of ourselves: can we figure out why this is happening? Because sometimes people just do it just to shock, and I have no interest in consuming that kind of media or content of like, oh, this is just supposed to be shocking to shock me. Like, ooh, like if I want to be shocked, I'm going to go watch the evening news at the atrocities that are happening in the world.
Yeah. I think music is a really good sort of analogy to this conversation, because there are a lot of bands and stuff throughout history that are like that. They're just like, oh, we're just edgy to be edgy. And like, I never liked those people. Right?
Yeah.
Like I understand what you're doing to an extent, but like I don't like it, right? I'm like, I don't know. I'm real weird about this kind of thing. Like there's a lot of people out there who are like, like a lot of early like genres, right? When we're trying to like genreify things, like some of them are just like, no, I just want to play this kind of music, right? And then people are like, oh my gosh, that's so crazy, right? Like I wouldn't say Link Ray is particularly edgy, but he did get an instrumental song banned from the radio. So, just too exciting, right? Those
Yes.
teenagers just couldn't deal with
a lot going on
with the loudness. But like once we get more like into it, right? Like I think after the 60s, right? Then people started like, oh no, now I'm going to do this just to be shocking, right? kind of in the 70s and like the 80s, like what's early like hardcore stuff or like things like that. You're like, okay, that's really not cool. Like it's not interesting. Right. Like you're not saying anything, right? You're just saying like, oh my gosh, I'm so like blah. Like, I don't care. Like that doesn't like there's no message. Right. The message is like, wow, look at me. That's not a very cool message, right? Like I can't really get behind that message. Like, well, I like a lot of like early punk hardcore stuff, but like some of it's just like bad because there's no like message behind the song,
And
right?
that
There's no like meaning. There's no meaning other than like, wow, look at how extreme this is. Like, I don't really care about that. Like, real like early like extreme metal. Like, I don't really care about that. Like, I'm not into that. Like, not
well,
like that's not like it's whatever. It's just like I'm not into that just because like, oh my gosh, look at this. Like, I don't care about the theatrics and the stuff. Like, I don't. I'm not interested. Like, I want. We talk about this later, right? Like,
yeah.
but one of the important messages of like this song, like, can I sing to it loudly in my car? Well, if I can't, then what's the point of even listening to this? Like, I can't. As a teenager, this was my criteria, right? So, like, when people are like, "Oh, you're this death metal song," I'm like, "It's cool, but like, I can't sing along to this." So,
Yeah.
I'm really not into this. Like, I can sing along to a lot of other stuff, like a lot of like punk songs. I can sing along to Bad Brains in my car. So I'm gonna listen to that instead. Right? I'm just gonna
Yeah, it's not a bad point at all. Because I think when you mentioned the shock value, what it really does is it focuses people on it's about drawing attention to that person, to themselves. It's a very I'm going to say it's a very selfish act, right? To be known
yeah,
as somebody who just is like basically it's just a look at me, and man, that's a great turnoff for that kind of content.
yeah. Like I don't know. I just I don't know. It's the music is difficult because like I do like some extreme music, right? But it's not because of the person,
Sure.
right? I feel like
Yeah.
that's where it gets weird. There are some performers right here saying like, I don't care about you because you're like when you start being like, oh yeah, I want to shock people. It's like I'm not interested in that, right? Like I think like early Marilyn Manson stuff when he came out. Like
Oh
it
yeah.
turns out he actually is a trash human. So there's that. Now we know. But
Huh. Yeah.
uh like back then, like everyone's like, oh my gosh, like look, it's not like, number one, I don't care because I don't care about this person, right? Like
Sure.
it's not important to me. Like I'm not gonna be like, oh wow, it's so shocking. Like I don't care. Is the music good? Actually, no, not really. But like I don't.
Yeah. Because there will always be people who are doing that. I mean, like David Bowie. Oh gosh, I just had a brain fart completely on who I was going to. Madonna, right? Like these
Oh
people
yeah,
like really pushed out and were edgy and trying to be shocking and different. And it's like,
yeah,
because then at some point, like if that's all, not okay, David Bowie, fantastic musician. Madonna has some great hits, but I'd throw them out there because those are people like they really pushed an envelope really far.
yeah. Yeah, and I think the problem with Madonna, she's still trying to do it, and it's not because
And
that's her only shtick, right? Like
boom, yes,
that's like her
exactly.
only thing. So like now, when you look at her, you go,
Yeah,
what are you doing, right? Like
that's all they have, and
I
that's
think
the
it's a
problem.
different. That's a difference from like so when you talk about someone who's been around for like a really long time, right? When you talk about like a Madonna, right? I don't personally think like yeah, she was always like real shocking, right? Like, oh, scandalous, right? Like all this stuff. And so like the fact that she's still like trying to do that at like her age is kind of distressing, right? But
Yeah,
then you look at somebody like a Cher and you're just like, oh yeah, fine. She can still sing, right? Boom. There you go. And because she's just like been singing the whole time, right? Nothing like too crazy, right? A little weirdness every once in a while, but like
a lot of auto-tune, but yes.
Yeah, but like it's the songwriting, it's the stuff, right? It's nothing like, oh my gosh, I'm so like scandalous and look at this weird video I made. Well, none of that stuff, right? So it's like,
right.
She's been around forever and people still go like, oh yeah, cool. Right?
Yeah.
I don't know. There's probably people out there like, oh my gosh, share out, right? Like, but they're still just like, okay, neat.
Yeah, because she's been like you said, a singer, right? This entire time. She's not trying to show up with the next biggest great, because it's just becomes a competition, right? And then they're just peacocking around, being like, look at me, look at me, look at me. And then there's no end, because once you've done like the biggest shocking thing, it's so ephemeral, it just fades away, right? And it's like, well, anyway, on to the next shocking thing. And they're just chase that. And then that's the next boost that they're going to have to whatever their, reputation is, or whatever their career they're trying to make.
Yes. Yeah. I feel like, yeah. And then you run out of steam because you can only do so much, right? Or you go so far that people go, oh, that's, no, let's not do that, right? Like, let's not. No, like that's just offensive and weird.
Vanity. Vanity is not really a good thing.
Yeah. Huh. I don't know.
So, ugh. Yeah. Hey, well, I like this. So we've got some recommendation. Watch the Animaniacs, not Ren and Stimpy, if you're looking for a manic but actually good TV show.
There you go.
Hey, and I think maybe actually what we need to do is we need to watch The Losers from 1970 and do a movie review of that.
We might do that and just see how it can be improved. And we'll do a script treatment for that.
Oh, okay. And that's the kickoff for our movies that need to be remade. Okay.
Oh, okay. There we go. Okay. All right. So part 1, see if I can actually watch The Losers somewhere.
Yeah.
Surely I don't have to pay for that. Surely that's free online somewhere.
Surely. Let's see. Okay. If I can find, if you can't find it, I'm going to do my own. We're going to do some searching. And I don't know if it has to be, but I don't know. Yeah. If I find a copy of it, I may send you a link.
Oh yeah, you can. It's free. I got it.
Oh, okay, you do. Perfect.
Oh, there we go.
Okay,
it's on Tubi, whatever that is, for free.
Okay,
there you go. So okay, there you go. There's my homework. Gonna watch that.
Okay,
right, and then we'll go from there.
Love it. I like this. We will try. Okay. Wait. So we're both watching this, or are we?
We can, yeah. If you want to, that's fine. Yeah. If you have time, but I'll watch it for sure.
Okay.
Because you're the busy one. I'm on break till January something. So I don't know.
We'll see.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, and we can discuss another. I discovered this other thing, like, well, I guess we can talk about it later. But I found there's this YouTube channel that like they just like upload like random classic movies, like not classic, but like random movies. And I discovered a genre that's like, it's beautiful. And I watched one and I was like, okay, there's more. And I'm like, I have to watch more of these. They're great. It's like so you know how like spaghetti westerns are like Italian Western movies?
Yeah.
Right. So these movies are like, they're like, this one is like a 1980s cop movie, but it's Italian, but it's set in America, like American cops in like Miami. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is beautiful.
My gosh.
It's like spaghetti 80s action movies.
Oh my gosh.
And there's like a whole bunch of, I don't even remember the name of it now. I'm going to have to look and find it again. But oh my Lord. It was pretty excellent.
That sounds, I don't know I don't know what word to use there. That sounds like an interesting. Yeah.
Interesting is the best word for it.
Yeah. Let us know what happens with that.
Yeah. I'll update you on that one too. I'll see if I can find the name of that again. And just find it. Oh, I did. It's called Miami Super Cops.
Okay.
There you go. 1985's finest. So there you go.
Super Cops. Okay, this looks amazing.
It's pretty great. Yeah, right. But apparently there's more. So I'm going to try to find more of those because they're good.
Okay, well, this may turn into an ongoing series.
Like those two guys are like in a bunch of movies together.
Oh, really?
This Terrence Hill and Bud Spencer fella. But it's definitely like Italian movie, right? It's crazy.
It is. Hey. Well, I'll say yes to that.
There you go. Yeah. The YouTube channel is Cult Cinema Classics.
Oh.
Emphasis on cult here, I think.
Yeah. Well, maybe not.
These are very niche cult movies. Like,
yeah.
Like 9 people have seen these. So they
well, I mean,
that's great.
Okay. Oh man, this looks amazing.
It was pretty great. I was like, wow, this is fantastic.
Well, interestingly, they have published the entire the Night of the Living Dead, 1968.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. There's tons of movies on there. It's great. Good time. Just there's also a whole bunch of like random like 50s like monstery movies on there from like the 40s and 50s that are just like crazy. Like the lady turns into a wasp, or like
those cool ones,
those kind of crazy ones like that, or the one that's like it's like a giant. One is literally called like Attack of the Giant Gila Monster or something. It's like
yes, that's
that movie's great because it's literally just like and then cut to Gila Monster, like a lizard, like crawling, but like real close up. Like it was.
Yes, I think this one. I think I have actually used show art from this movie. Yeah, a screen grab from this movie as show art at one point in time.
Perfect.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, because this is this is. Oh man, I love. Okay, yeah, that's amazing.
I think I talked about something I watched on there before, maybe.
Oh,
because I did watch something not last summer, maybe the summer before. I think it's when I found it originally, but yeah, it's good stuff. But anyway, I'm gonna try to watch The Losers. There we go. There's some homework. Listeners, if you can follow along with us. Let us know your thoughts as well. And if you've seen it, please let us know what we're in for.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
All right. Well, I believe that just leaves us with haiku time.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. It does. Yeah.
All right.
I don't remember what what was going to happen here, so I'm eager to see.
I don't really think we talked about it, so I just decided to write one inspired by your traumas that you discussed on last week's episode.
Oh no.
Here we go. Okay. Here we go. This is for you.
Okay.
Lost without a trace. Disconnected terminals. Sometimes it happens. Thank you. There you go. That's for you. Perfect. Yes.
Sometimes it does.
Apparently, that's what everyone says. So they
love it. Okay.
Yeah.
That's the perfect way to end that one. So wonderful.
All right.
Oh, okay. Well, yes, with that and the much anticipation for the Losers review and remakes a galore.
Sure.
We go off into the.
All right.
Okay.
Love you.
Love you.
Love you too.
Bye.
Bye.